And good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday morning to you, and welcome back to my morning musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. Hey, look, thank you so very, very much for all of the fantastic private emails, private messages, and all of the public comments about the videos that I'm currently producing on the Shemitah. The comments are great. I appreciate it so much, and I hope that they are helpful to you. Needless to say, Mr. Jonathan Cahn, when he wrote the book, The Mystery of the Shemitah, and the follow-up book, The Harbinger, predicting that September 2015 is going to be basically the end. Some humongous catastrophe is supposed to hit America. Well, as I pointed out in my last video, he's already hedging on that, as is so very, very common among false teachers, among false prophets who begin setting dates. As the date comes closer and closer and nothing is happening, all of a sudden they begin to recalculate, to rethink, to redo. And that's exactly and precisely what is happening with Mr. Cahn. He is now saying, because he's been asked, well, what happens if nothing happens in September? And his response has essentially been, nothing. We'll just keep glorifying God and keep going right on. No, ladies and gentlemen, in the Bible, when a man made false predictions, he was held accountable for that. He was called a false teacher. You know what that might mean in modern times? When a man's predictions fail to come to pass, it should mean that people stop immediately buying his books. Yeah, it really ought to mean that. Okay. Mr. Cahn tries to justify his application of the law of Moses, the law of Shemitah, the seventh-year Sabbath concept, to America. And as I pointed out in the very first segment, guess what? The law of Moses was not given to America. God said, Psalms 147, I gave my laws, my statutes, and my judgments to you, Old Covenant Israel. I have not done so to any other nation. Romans chapter 2 and verse 14, Paul emphatically and specifically said, the Gentiles, pardon me, do not have the law. Well, Mr. Cahn obviously saw the train coming. And by the way, I mean no disrespect to Mr. Cahn. I'm sure he's a very nice guy. But the point of fact is, his theology is bad. Notice what he says trying to justify his application. Most would find it surprising to learn that America was consciously, intentionally, and specifically founded and formed after the pattern of ancient Israel. Page 57 of his book, The Mystery of the Shemitah. All of that is totally irrelevant. All in the world that says is, guess what? The Puritans were wrong. And here's what I want you to see today. Folks, you just have to catch the power of this. Mr. Cahn can say, oh, America was the hidden Israel. The Puritans saw America as the promised land. They saw America and their cities there as the New Jerusalem. They even established the Christian Sabbath. Well, the Christian Sabbath was called Sunday, but the law of Moses Sabbath was Saturday. See, it's already a perversion from the very beginning of the law of Moses. We'd go on and on about that, but here's the point. The law of Moses was removed by God through Christ 2,000 years ago. It was annulled, taken out of the way. Through the power of the cross, not at the cross, but through the power of the cross, Jesus confirmed a new covenant. Matthew 26 and following. That new covenant was intended to and did replace the old covenant. The old covenant, the law of Moses, was the law of the Shemitah. It was the law given at Mount Sinai. But Jeremiah said the new covenant will not be like that one. And watch this. When the Judaizers sought to impose the law of Moses on Gentile believers, Paul condemned them. Furthermore, Paul went so far as to say, to Gentile Christians being pressured to keep the law of Moses, which included the new moons, the feast days, and the Sabbaths. New moons, feast days, and Sabbaths. Shemitah was a Sabbath. But Paul, writing to Gentile Christians, said, let no man judge you in regard to new moons, feast days, and Sabbaths. So here is Paul saying Gentiles are not to be judged, will not be judged according to the law of Moses. So when Mr. Cahn writes that America has been and is going to be judged for violation of Shemitah, no, Paul said Gentiles, i.e. America, is not subject to the law of Moses. And catch this, Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 13, 2,000 years ago, Paul said that the first covenant, the law of Moses, inclusive of Shemitah, that covenant had grown old and was now, 2,000 years ago, nigh unto passing away. Hebrews 8:13. Do you see the power of that? So here is Paul telling Gentiles, do not be judged according to the law of Moses. You're not under it. Mr. Cahn wants to put America under it. Secondly, and part of the reason he said it, is because Paul said the law of Moses, which included the Shemitah, was nigh unto passing 2,000 years ago. Look, folks, it's wrong to impose a dead law on those to whom it was never given. Look, there's so much more involved here, but Mr. Cahn is simply wrong to say, oh, well, America's the hidden Israel. Makes no difference. America is not Israel. And the law of Moses has passed away. And Paul said, Gentiles will not be judged according to the law of Moses. Thanks for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. Look, don't forget, go to my website, eschatology.org or BibleProphecy.com. Order my book, From Torah to Telos, The End of the Law of Moses. No, I do not discuss the Shemitah in it, but the principles that are found therein that I've just shared with you ever so briefly this morning, they are there. It is critical to understand the role of the passing of the law of Moses in our eschatological view. This is critical stuff. Go to my website, order the book, all right? Make a note that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping. Again, thanks so much for joining me. Lord willing, we'll see you on Monday. You have a fantastic weekend.